Hello, my friends, and welcome to Fishtory. So today we are going over a video that somebody who is a member of the channel, a great member of the community here, sent me, and I'll give them a shout out during the next live stream. I didn't actually ask if I should put their info and, stuff out there. But thank you for sending me this, and it looks like a very interesting and educational video that was put together on Catfish. Now, I watched a few minutes of it, and it was great in that there's some really cool trivia and stuff, and it's only 10 minutes long, but we're going to go through it, and I want to let the good stuff play, but then I want to stop and tell you the stuff that is incorrect that's peppered in there, and hopefully give you like a video that's twice as good. So let's just try this whole content reaction thing a go. Let's hop in.
Every animal tries to avoid being killed. Self-preservation was programmed in us by evolution so that we don't all accidentally become extinct. But you probably realize that some species are luckier than others. Like the catfish superfamily, Loricariidae. Ever heard of it? These fish, or rather several species of them, were blessed with so many abilities and special features that are worth attention. First of all, these catfish have built-in armor. For example, bristlenose catfish are covered with a tough body armor with spines around their heads. And these are not just spines. They enlarge if the fish is in danger.
Okay, alright. Okay, so they're talking about bristlenose plecos, and actually all catfish, part of the definition of the catfish is the whiskers, right, guys? Well, these are the odontodes, or whiskers, and the odontodes are like a fleshy bit that has a bit of bone coming out into it, or rather a pulpy, sensile organ and or nerve cell coming out into it. So it could be any number of those things, but it is not just a full-on spike, and it's actually soft to the touch, oftentimes has blood flow to it, and is a full-on just fleshy bit of the fish that has a lot of sensory nerves and or organs on it, like it's there to taste the water. Catfish are pretty incredible in that they can taste the water all around them. So no, the bristlenose, that's not spiky stuff around it, but there are spikes on bristlenose plecos, as well as there are bones in the pectoral fins and the dorsal fin of some that are sturdy enough that they can get you. But really the ones to worry about are the ones right by the gills and the pectoral fins on any number of these catfish. That's usually where they're going to get you, especially any of these, and some are in fact venomous.
Fish species are even more interesting. When a catfish feels threatened by a larger fish, it may extend the retractable spines that are usually close to its sides. This makes its body wider, which means it'll be more difficult to swallow such prey. Well, if the predator tries to do that anyway, sharp spines will cut into its mouth.
No.
The predator's lucky if those are ordinary spines, because some species of catfish are actually venomous.
Yes.
Moreover, the venom of some catfish is so potent that it can kill a human. Approximately half of all known catfish species, there are about 3,000 of them, are likely venomous.
No.
But this ability is only used by fish as a defense.
I don't think any have killed humans.
When the catfish sets its spines in motion, the pressure rips.
So, I don't think any have killed humans. Now, they off themselves very frequently in bags, which is, a bummer when you ship things like corydoras. And it's a lot of the common ones, things like the trilineatus, the panda cory, stirby cory. They're some of the worst offenders, where they will actually release a venom, and it's not always through a quill or an envenomation bone or hollow tube like you'd see in a snake, or some, a spine in a ray or anything like that, or a stonefish. No, it's more just like a secretion on the gland, and it can kind of slide down over the actual bony area or over that spike, depending on it. Now, some of them are better at it than others, but corydoras, plecos, they're usually not going to have the advanced envenomation. It's more of just a poisonous release of a cloud, and if you wounded yourself first and then they're releasing it in a stress response, it could get in the cut and really, really irritate it, that kind of thing.
Rips the skin over the venom glands. The venom spills out and gets into the wounds of the predator. As you remember, by that time, the predator's already wounded by sharp spines.
Okay.
But back to the armor that nature bestowed upon catfish. The entire superfamily, Loricariidae, has it,
That's
and yet I want to focus on certain species.
Them.
The three-striped Cory is a very small fish, the length of which doesn't exceed 2.5 inches. They're kept in aquariums, and no one even expects they can survive a piranha bite. To find out about this...
So that's either a trilineatus or a true Julii Cory. If they have the maze pattern on the face, then they are the trilineatus, and they have kind of more specific rows of dots down their side. I didn't actually see which one that was. I'll let you know if I see it again.
About this, the scientists had to pit two fish against each other in an aquarium and see what happens. Imagine how surprised they were when a Cory was cornered, bitten 10 times, and then wriggled free and swam away looking irritated. Cory wasn't hurt or scared.
Or maybe
just annoyed.
SNAILS.
Any other fish would lose part of its organs in just one bite. The secret to the amazing durability of the three-striped Cory lies precisely in the armor.
Yeah, it's
the scales of which are made of collagen and minerals able to withstand enormous pressure. Cory's scales grow from osteoblasts, the cells responsible for building bones. A hard-top mineral layer of scales prevents the piranha's teeth from piercing the armor, and the soft layer underneath absorbs the force of bites. The scales don't split, the piranha is left without lunch, and the three-striped Cory can keep doing whatever it does. Piranhas need to make 8 bites just to put a dent in Cory's tail armor, and breaking through their abdominal scales works only 20% of the time. Well, even these amazing fish have a chink in their armor, the area around the gills with a gap. If the piranha sinks its teeth there, it can decapitate the Cory. To prevent this from happening, they flare out sharp spines on their pectoral fins and back and drive away predators.
There aren't like a bunch like that.
And how do you like the ability of catfish to breathe air? I mean, swimming to the surface and taking a breath. To gain this ability, the catfish had to...
So, yeah, that's pretty cool that they mentioned that, and there's actually been several studies, they're quite old now, about the armor in the catfish, specifically in corydoras, and it wasn't super clear whether that's going to be all Corys or not, and you know they've split the family groups up now way differently than they used to be. Now there are, 8 different groups of what used to just be corydoras and brochus and the aspidoras, essentially. Now there's a whole 8 of them. So I think the armor works a little different in each of those, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to ask one of these scientists, but let's hop back in here.
Had to evolve several modifications of the digestive tract that function as accessory respiratory organs. While this is not a kind of skill you might show off in front of your fish pals at a party, breathing air is required for survival. In some water bodies, there's too little oxygen dissolved in the water. In order not to suffocate, the catfish had to come up with something, but they used this method of breathing only as a last resort and only under stress. Also, in order to breathe with the stomach, it must have a little food inside, so you either eat or you breathe. But these aren't the only unique abilities granted to catfish by evolution.
So actually, corydoras have the ability to gulp air, and it goes all the way down through the digestive tract, and it absorbs through the stomach lining. Actually, that's where they think lungs probably evolved, is through absorbing through mucous membrane in the stomach or esophagus or intestine, and there were probably a pouch that developed along there and then split off into its own separate organ over time. It's pretty interesting because the question is, there's lungfish from way back 400 million years ago before they split off as their own group, but the other fish did not ever develop that same situation that those ones did. So then these others have all these other systems of doing so, and they have swim bladders, gills, and other methods like labyrinth organs and things like that all across the world of fish like this.
Solution, because some catfish can survive without any water. Common plecos from the Loricaridae family are known to survive out of the water for up to 30 hours.
Yes.
So people sell them.
So that is true. They can be totally dehydrated by the looks of them. You can look like their eyes are sunken in. They're so dehydrated. It's very sad looking. But they actually are showing on the screen here walking catfish, I believe. Yeah, I think these are climbing or walking catfish, but we'll see. In one moment, you'll see them move. They're definitely not plecos, though.
Them in the markets alive, simply laying them on the counter. The catfish should thank the scales for this ability to live without water. The thing is, catfish are quite easy to spot in the water, so they become prey for birds. But the birds quickly realize that they've grabbed something prickly and very hard. After a couple of attempts to eat the fish, they give up, throw it away, and try to find a less feisty lunch. No. As a result, the catfish ends up on land and has to survive without...
Okay, so that is climbing catfish, and those are problematic. They are invasive. They are in the U.S. They're in tropical or subtropical regions, mostly just Florida, parts of Texas and Louisiana, perhaps, maybe Georgia. Anyways, they're tricky. They're difficult. They can go like 3 kilometers out of water, but this is not a pleco, and that's probably the spike thing. It is not why they get dropped because of birds and things. That's not why they've developed the ability to breathe air. It's because of very low saturation of oxygen in very, very warm, muddy water when the dry season inevitably hits any part of the equatorial or subtropical world. When you get like the monsoon season, they're fine, they're swimming around, and then a lot of times they're the fish that are best equipped to live in really murky water because they have all those sensory organs and things, so they don't need to see as well. But that means they're hanging out in places with water that's very warm, low in oxygen, and they're able to hunt in very, very low visibility with their sensory organs. That's why they developed the ability to breathe air other ways and to get out of the water and to survive the dry season for a bit of time in mud and so forth, and get fairly dehydrated before passing away. All right, but let's hop back in. It's beside the point. Still interesting.
Without water for some time until it manages to get to its native reservoir. Yes, you heard it right. These guys can also move on land. They get to the water in bursts of 3.3 feet per second, which of course is slow from a human point of view. But hey, we're talking about fish here. Fish aren't supposed to walk on land at all.
3 feet per second,
let alone
quick.
Climbing walls like the Chetostoma microp species does, which belongs to the same family of catfish. Imagine the surprise of people who were the first to see this.
These are cool.
A team
they climb
exploring
walls.
limestone caves in Ecuador found a fish climbing nearly 10 feet up almost vertical rock walls. What about gravity? Seems like this fish never heard of it. And you, like scientists, probably wondered how a fish can climb walls. Well, it looks like the climbing ability emerged from a series of modifications to the catfish's fins, skin, and mouth. Yes, they use their mouth to climb. Add to this a thin film of water on the wall, and you get a rock-climbing fish. At this point, I wanted to make a joke like, what's next, fish that eat wood? But then Steve showed me the Panaque species. They also belong to the same cat.
That's Panaque plecos. Absolutely beautiful giant. Also, they do climb with their mouths, but they have very, very neat adaptations in their paired fins, either their or their pectoral fins, or the other like ventral fins, but they are able to make them into almost like a suction cup. And you could actually see that if we go back just a second. You can see that when they climb on the wall like that, they have right here the fins right in here, they can make a little suction cup kind of thing with that, and then they use their mouth to pull up and like a little bit, and then hold on with the friction of those adapted fins and their belly, and that kind of holds them like a gecko pad on the gecko's feet would. Anyways, I think that's all interesting. We'll skip back up to here. We'll see what they're talking about with the Plecos.
They discovered that there's always a lot of wood at the bottom. To include it in their diet, the fish have grown spoon-shaped teeth and jaws positioned at a high angle. But it's not as simple when it comes to digestion. Some researchers point to special intestinal bacteria that help the Piranha with this. Other scientists argue that...
Okay, so I hope they go into the nuance of this. This is brand new information, but yeah, they're talking about them on the wood, eating the wood, but do they put it in the title, do they eat the wood? They do technically eat it. They don't digest it. So let's see what they say.
That fish simply can't digest wood. It passes through their guts in less than 4 hours, and catfish intestines don't have any unique structure. But what's the point of eating wood then? The Piranha catfish appear to be chewing on rotting wood to digest the organic matter, microbes, and microbial byproducts found in the spaces between the wood fibers. And the wood itself is excreted as waste.
Should these glasses be illegal in the U.S.?
And they are so tough, they can live in salt water. Usually in such conditions, the fish quickly dies from dehydration. Its kidneys are designed to pump water out of the body all the time, retaining salts. But catfish don't care about such trifles, nor do they care about the fact that they're fish, not moles. Actually, after walking on the ground, rock climbing, and eating wood, there's not much that can surprise you about catfish. Common plecos, which I've already mentioned, are also known for burrowing into the banks, so intensely that they cause erosion and collapses. But other catfish like to dig too, for very different reasons. For example, to avoid unpleasant sunlight and heat, to care for offspring, or stay safe from predators. Apparently, when all other defense mechanisms no longer work. All this is quite exciting, but hardly for those creatures whose houses can collapse simply because catfish just love digging. Though this is not the only problem caused by catfish from this family. Since they're really good at survival, species from the Loricariidae superfamily easily become invasive.
Well, these are not Loricariidae at all.
When you're this good at adapting to everything and fending off predators, you are, by definition, cooler than everyone else.
Probably this.
Plus, there's also people who keep catfish as aquarium pets and then release them back into the wild. This is how, for example, common plecos appeared in Florida, Texas, and Mexico. The catfish were released there on purpose in order to control algae. In the end, the catfish spread to at least 13 Mexican states, displacing native species and causing serious harm to thousands of Mexican families whose income depends on fishing.
In Florida, it's sad.
In general, in Mexico, common plecos are not very liked, and even got the nickname devilfish. To get rid of the invasive species, catfish can be eaten more often, but locals consider the fish ugly, odd, and poisonous. This slows things down.
Yeah, I bet.
But the strangest issue caused by the invasive catfish has to do with the manatees. Catfish cling to them. There may be 20, 30, or even 40 fish on one unfortunate manatee. It looks creepy, as if the catfish are going to tear it apart. Though actually, the catfish are not interested in either the blood or the meat of the manatees. They just feed on the algae growing on their skin. That is, they cause no physical harm, but imagine 40 creatures the size of a cat clinging to you. It's irritating. For manatees as well. In an attempt to lose catfish, they move more, and movement means burning calories. This is not good for manatees. The thing is, in the winter months, in order to escape cold and find food, manatees swim to the waters of Florida, which are teeming with catfish. But instead of a relaxing holiday, manatees get a bunch of annoying fish they can't get rid of. As a result, manatees lose weight and leave warm waters much sooner than they're supposed to. Eventually, a tired animal that lost weight finds itself in the cold. The result is quite predictable. Manatees get sick and die.
That was disturbing.
Turns out that evolution gave catfish the ability to survive in any conditions.
Red-tailed cat.
Ruined everything.
Different family.
Well, nature has a rather weird sense of humor.
but they're in Florida.
See you later.
All right, pretty interesting. So, thanks for watching, you guys. I want to shout out this channel, Top. I mean, they got some things wrong, but that's way better than most YouTube videos that get put out, especially that seem to be kind of, I don't know if this was AI slop, but it's definitely like a top 10 list thing that was compiled. But they actually did a bit of research. Especially since it came out 2 years ago. I believe, ChatGPT was probably not what was used to create this, if I had to guess. So, anyways, let me know if you like this.
To avoid unpleasant
Sorry.
can't digest wood. It
Stop.
passes through their guts in less than 4.
Alex,
Some
stop.
researchers point to special